Hi, I'm Gail and welcome back to Low Carb Recipe Ideas. Today we're going to make spaghetti and meatballs. And what I've done is, the last video I made cabbage rolls. So I'm taking my leftover tomato sauce that I had and I'm going to make it into spaghetti and meatballs. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drink some water, because water is really important for our system and we need to have lots of water. So we're going to get started with the water. And now I've taken a 1 3/4 pounds of lean ground beef and we're going to start making our meatballs. Now always remember, wash your hands. I have 1 3/4 pounds, almost 2 pounds of lean ground beef here. And I'm going to put in a tablespoon of Herb, a tablespoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of oregano, and 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese. And I have 1 medium white onion that I've chopped up and we're going to put in here. So I'm just going to take my time, mix this up with my hands. I like using my hands when I'm mixing stuff up. Make sure you wash your hands before you do this. And we're just going to mix this up. You can use a spatula or some other kind of utensil, but I just find the hand works so much better. There we go. I think I've got it mixed quite well. Actually, it's really cold. I had the hamburger in the fridge and man, is it ever cold on my hand right now. So I'm going to just take my frying pan, I'll bring it over here, and we're just going to start making meatballs. And you don't need the breadcrumbs, you don't need the stuffing, the fillers, because the hamburger sticks together on its own. Like some people put in eggs just to help it stick together, and you really don't need that. So if you we'll just continue making these meatballs. Now I've made 24 meatballs. I've got them in the frying pan. I've just turned it on high so we can get them started, and I'm just going to cook them thoroughly. So I've turned my burner down, and now I'm just going to work on moving them around. I actually have too many in the pot, but I don't have a bigger frying pan, so I'm making this work as well as I can possibly make it work. So just gradually take your time, and they might stick on the bottom a little bit, and if they do, just use your cooking utensil and just move them off the bottom. Because you got the Parmesan cheese in there also, that's going to help it stick a little bit. And you really don't want it to stick. We're starting to get some liquid here, so that's going to help. So the next thing I'm going to do is, I love mushrooms with my meatballs. So I have 2 cups of sliced mushrooms. I'm just going to throw them on the top, and I'm just going to move them around a little bit, and gradually when I start moving the meatballs around, the mushrooms are going to get closer to the bottom and they'll start cooking up with the mushrooms or with the meatballs, and you're going to have nice flavor into the mushrooms. So I'll just continue cooking this. Now you'll see there's a lot of moisture from the mushrooms, so that gives the moisture and it keeps the meatballs from sticking. But we're going to cook these till they're totally cooked through, and the mushrooms will be cooked and the moisture will be dried up from the meatballs and the mushrooms. Now my meatballs are cooking. This is my leftover tomato sauce that I made for my cabbage rolls, and it's just a shame to waste it. I didn't use all the sauce with the cabbage rolls, so I am going to use this with the meatballs. So we're going to add this to the meatballs in the frying pan. My meatballs are all cooked, my mushrooms are all cooked. There's a little bit of grease in the bottom. This is lean ground beef, but sometimes I question it. Now, I'm going to leave the grease in there. You can drain if you would like, that's up to you, but I just like that little extra flavor. So now we're going to add the tomato paste that was left over from our cabbage roll recipe. So we're going to heat that up. And now we're going to take my leftover noodles, or sorry, my leftover cabbage from my cabbage rolls that I had left over from when I took the leaves off, because I hate to waste anything. And I'm going to slice it all up, and we're going to make the noodles for our spaghetti. This is my leftover cabbage from when I made my cabbage rolls, and I don't want to waste it, so we're going to use this as the noodles for our spaghetti. So you're just taking your knife and you're going to just make thinner slices and just slice up the whole thing. Now if you don't have leftovers like I have, then just go get yourself a big cabbage and do the same thing. This cabbage weighs approximately 1.5 pounds. I did weigh it just to see how much was there. So I'll just keep working on slicing it. Oh, that one got a little thicker on me. And it did too. So we'll just have to work on it a little bit to try and make it a little thinner. There we go. Now, my tomato sauce, that was my leftovers that I had told you before. So I will have it on my blog as to what the measurements are for the tomato sauce, but I used 28 fluid ounces of Primo plum tomatoes. I used 5.5 fluid ounces of Hunt tomato paste, 1 teaspoon of stevia. I used 1 tablespoon of oregano, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, and 1 cup of water. I pureed it in the my Ninja machine, and then that's how I made my tomato sauce. So I'm just going to, shred it off the core because it's still good, and big pieces, little pieces, it really doesn't matter. There we go. Now, I have a pot that I've put about 1 inch of water in. And I have my colander, my steamer that I use. They're very inexpensive. You can actually get them at the dollar store. And you just open it up, lay it in the bottom, and then take all your pieces of cabbage and break them up so you're getting different layers. There we go. That was a bit of the core that I had to not put in. This is a little bigger. We could slice it up, but I'm just going to steam it the way it is. Now we're going to add just a little bit of salt on the top. If we were boiling the cabbage, then I would have put it right in the water, but I'm just going to put a little bit on the top, and that will soak through the noodles. So I'm going to put the lid on it, turn it up on high, and I'm going to steam it for approximately 10 minutes. It might be a little bit longer, but we'll start with 10. So I've got my cooked cabbage. I'm just going to put some on my plate, getting ready for supper. And then I'm going to put about 3 meatballs on top with a little bit of sauce with the mushrooms. And this is all from my leftovers from when I had made my cabbage rolls. So I just used the rest of my cabbage that I had, and then I used the leftover of the tomato sauce. It's absolutely delicious, and it's a good way to not waste. You're getting to not waste anything, you're not throwing anything in garbage. So my low-carb meatballs and spaghetti. Very delicious. Go to lowcarbrecipe.ideas.com and try this recipe and try my other ones. Take care and we'll see you in the next video. Bye now.